joining us tonight to go ahead and discuss further the impact of the results of the New Hampshire primary. Please join me in welcoming New Hampshire's own radio show host, podcaster, and our boss at IPMNation.com, Matt Connarton.
Thank you. Thank you. Like I was saying off air, Tom, I feel like this has been years in the making, this moment. Wonderful to be here.
I've been executive producer for 80 plus episodes. Finally, I get my shot on the mic. I noticed some things about the primary results. The media was talking about this is a big win for Trump, but it really wasn't that big. Just looking at the results as they were posted today as we're recording this, Trump only beat Haley by 9 points. This 54-43. But with his write-in campaign and doing absolutely nothing, Biden beat Dean Phillips by 45 points, 65-20. Write-in votes that weren't Biden got 7%, and Marianne Williamson, bless her, picked up 4% of the vote. So more people chose to write in someone other than the 20-some people on the ballot who weren't Biden or Marianne Williamson. And Marianne Williamson's she's pretty much near like the bottom of the pack in that regard. But what's your takeaway? I mean, you live in New Hampshire. You see what's going on up there. You're as close as we're ever going to get to a New Hampshire correspondent on this show. So what's your takeaway from the results?
Well, first of all, I'll just say for the record, I full disclosure, I voted for Marianne Williamson really out of selfishness and loyalty. She was a guest on my show. She joined us live in studio and was very generous with her time. So that's how I decide who to vote for. If you pay attention to me, I'll vote for you. Well, priorities, I'm an American, a little narcissistic. But I did vote for her. I was the only thing truly interesting. I mean, obviously, I knew Trump was going to win. I didn't know by how much. New Hampshire, we have a little bit of an independent spirit, although, God, there are Trump signs everywhere, which is unfortunate. But, but no surprise in that he won. It was just a matter of, could Nikki Haley kind of pierce his invincibility and inevitability just a tiny bit. In the end, it's not going to matter. I always refer to him as the presumptive nominee because it's going to be him. The only thing that was a little unpredictable was what was going to happen with Biden, because obviously not only was he on the ballot, but I was on another show and we were talking about this right before the primary, and something occurred to me that hadn't occurred to me before. I said, wait a minute, people who are voting who aren't really paying a lot of attention, casual voters who maybe they're too busy, too distracted with life to really pay attention, who are taking a Democrat ballot, they're going to be confused. If they haven't been following what's going on, they're going to look at that ballot and say, wait a minute, Biden's not even on the ballot. What's going on here? Am I supposed to write him in? How does this work? I thought there was going to be mass confusion over that, but there wasn't. And I guess, we're pretty well informed here. So I figured he'd win. I was angry with him, though, and I've been angry with the DNC as a proud New Hampshire resident in terms of them trying to take our first in the nation primary away. Again, maybe I'm a little selfish and narcissistic, but to paraphrase Charlton Heston, I always say you'll take our New Hampshire first in the nation primary from my cold dead hands, or however that went. I guess you could say that about guns too, because New Hampshire, we're armed to the teeth, but I mean, but you know what's sad too at the same time is just knowing that in the end it doesn't matter. I mean, it's interesting, and I like the New Hampshire primary because it's the one time every 4 years that the rest of the country kind of says, "Oh, New Hampshire, that exists." But but in the end, it's like no matter what happens, it's gonna be Biden versus Trump. The rematch America doesn't want, and yet is absolutely determined we're going to have.
I know.
In the end, it doesn't really, none of it matters. That's what it's going to be.
Another thing that struck me was I had a little more hope when I saw some of the exit polls coming out of New Hampshire, where it was less of the Republican voting electorate believed that Biden was illegitimately in office, as opposed to Iowa. But then when you dig deep down, who was mostly voting and giving that opinion. It was independents and Democrats.
Right.
Republicans voting in a Republican primary were the minority in that instance. So, I mean, really, are Republicans in New Hampshire really different than Iowa?
I think so. I mean, there's a lot I could say about that, but then my northeastern elitism will come spilling out of me. But yeah, I'll just say it. I think we're smarter. I think we're better than Iowa in every measurable way, quite frankly. And but by the way, one of the people who appears on my show regularly is from Iowa, so hopefully he'll see this.
But at least you
Who
have
used
people
to
voting.
appear on your show regularly.
Yes, yes.
We'll piss off all two of our listeners from Iowa. We can take them.
They're going to have a caucus, Tom, and vote against this podcast.
That's right.
Tell them to get in line. All right,